All right. Oh, okay. I am live. I am tinkering. I am putting decals on my cart. How's that sound? Oh, goodness. Yeah. It's not yellow anymore. I don't dislike yellow, though. Yellow's fine. Just not what I really want to do. Maybe I'll put the nose one on first, and then I'll go from there. Over at Kart Graphics Online. Is that what it's called? Kart Graphics. Kart Graphics Online. Super fast turnaround if you're looking to get any. I think that's about right. Right? Get that measured out. Maybe not. Back some more? No. Forward some more. It's going to interfere with my track tag sticker. I don't like that. It's a positioning thing. I think that should be right there, right? We can nip it just a little bit. These sides are C high performance. This is E-glass. It was a cheaper option to his carbon fiber back when we got them. And I say we, I mean, when Walt was still involved in my kart racing, and he bought the. Chris said, yeah, we can do carbon fiber. Obviously carbon fiber is awfully expensive. So he said we had the option of E-glass, which was a bit less expensive, almost as light, not quite as light, but almost as light. The problem was it was yellow, and it was like, oh, well, I'm gonna paint them anyway. Yeah, G-Kart is there. The turnaround time's fantastic, and I have no. There's local, there's Carpies, I believe are, somewhat near to me. I support them all. Blue Line Graphics has done stuff for me before. They were fantastic. Obviously, G-Kart is really, really good. And I've seen a lot of great stuff out of Carpies. There's is that Marsden? Dan Marsden does some stuff. He does really good work. There's a bunch of people that do graphics. PRP. They do stuff that's somewhat local to me, and it was just a convenience thing. I guess I got online. I liked the different, the fact I was able to scroll through and then be like, oh, I really like this design, and kind of choose it, and that started the conversation. Not that it couldn't happen with anybody else, but I was like, hey, I'll give them a shot. Their prices seem real reasonable, and that working with them was great. Do a mount that. Yeah, oh yeah. I should record more of what I do out here for certain. It's just when my shop's a disaster, and I know that's not an excuse. I should keep that clean. But when I'm working on stuff, like I've been getting this open ready. This has been a project and a half, because I want to race it, not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday. It has been a project to get. I still got to scale. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to mount. I got to replace all the fuel lines. I get, but I get what you're saying with the wedge stuff. Part of the reason I thought about doing it with this, part of the reason I did not do a mounting a wedge body video on this particular set of side panels is they were designed by C High Performance to actually go on the Recon, and they had specific mount points to go on that cart. Now, because this is the Scythe, and the Scythe didn't have inch Nerf bars, I had to modify the Nerf bars that were on this, and then put the hoops to support the wedge onto 3/4 inch, which moved the mounting position of where the wedge goes. And I was hopeful. I drug them out. I mean, we've had them for a couple of years. I just haven't ever mounted them, and I was hopeful that that they were going to line up. It's just when they're already the hoops, the wedge supports, Nerf bars already welded to the lowers, and when I lined it up, I mean it was way off from my rear bumper, from where the front tires line up. Matter of fact, I did some trimming just to kind of get it in position of where my old wedge used to be, that I really liked it. It's a little sleeker look. It's a little lower to the ground than what initially, Chris had sent me. I felt terrible because Chris C of C High Performance does super high quality work, and I hated to modify what he had done. But if I ever wanted to use this set of side panels, I did what I had to do, and it pained me to cut them up, but it is what it is. What's going on, man? Uh, but yeah, it was. I would have loved to do that, um, but I hated to show everybody that I was drilling in the wrong spots, and I was cutting things up that I shouldn't have been cutting. It's just not that I shouldn't be cutting. They're mine, but that were never intended to be cut up like that. It is what it is. Yeah. So I'm stickering up the wedge tonight. I figure. Yeah. How about the wing? How do you do that? I can show you. I mean, it's no. I'm using it as a bench right now for stickers. But look at that guy. I'm gonna flip this around. All right, here's the bench for stickers. This is and again, C High Performance. Um, does this isn't their wing, but they make a wing that is similar. This is carbon fiber. It's dirty. It's been raced and all that, but I will show you. I can show you this. Hold on. Give me 1 second, everybody. Let me not make this a bench. Also, I got a shout out to Kart Graphics that they sent me some more Beard Octane stickers and some more rim stickers. That's awesome. Um, along with my number. I didn't get a wedge decal pack. I just didn't have the money for it. So I'll try and show it. I think I can undo these and show you. So with anything else, if you buy wings, you're going to have, like this is aluminum. This is a Snow. Snow doesn't make them anymore. West Snow used to make these, but they'll have just mounting holes, and then obviously you're going to have a pattern in which the length is. Now, you can make this tiltable if you want. I always end up running my rear wing as flat as possible because it does such a good job at downforce that it has made my cart unbelievably tight before. So flip this back around so I can see you guys and see myself. So it's super simple in order, with that design, but I had it adjustable before, but like seriously, if you're running on like a big track and you tilt that, it's an airfoil. So you tilt it like this, and it creates such downforce that it just unbelievably tight getting into the corner. It does too good of a job. We used to even run, we'll look at flip you around here again. We used to run like a back panel, or at least I did, a back panel kind of cover all this stuff. Maybe not a wing, a little wicker bill on the back of it, but because it caused so much downforce along with a wing that pretty much everybody has shed those backboards. Not everybody. It's still, some people still use them, but if you're running a rear wing like I do, and like a lot of us do, that airfoil being up and that high in the air, kind of the only thing that is interrupting it is your melon sitting up there. It causes a lot of rear downforce. should make it. Put the Insta on the rear wing at Blairsville. No, I'm gonna mount it the same spot I do. I'm gonna put the GoPro up there. If you saw that, here's my mount for my GoPro. I'm gonna put my GoPro. I'm gonna give a couple different angles, and then I'll switch this around here too. But I mount the Insta360 right here. That's where it is on the clone card over there. But I'm just coming off of here and then mount the Insta360 so I get that. It's just, I think it's really cool to be able to, flip it around and look at me actually racing and then flip it back around and see out front. And then I'll be able to, it'll take a bit more editing. But once I have the GoPro footage plus the Insta360 footage, I'll be able to kind of marry them and then go to, different angles coming off of the wing, overlooking the entire cart, looking at me, looking out front, the whole shebang. I think it'll turn out pretty cool. It's just I'm I'm getting almost a little too technical for my own good. That Nick Bishop there was talking about. If I need help editing stuff, and I appreciate the offer. I don't do anything on laptop. I do everything on my phone. And it's becoming almost a bit much for my phone. It's honestly a laziness thing. I don't want to get onto my laptop and spend hours editing stuff. It's fine if I'm sitting in my recliner dinking around on my phone. Dirt play with a hardly no banking. Champ, so there's slightly different setup. With hardly no banking. Crosses stagger. Cross is going to be relative to how much grip you have. I believe, I don't know a whole bunch. I've never even driven a Champ Kart. So, but I think I know they run a lot of cross, and then especially if it's flat, I'd be running a lot of stagger. I'd be running at least 1.5 rear stagger, if not, 1.75, who knows, 2 inches. It depends how flat it is, but you gotta mechanically make the cart turn when there is nothing assisting that turn. So it's it's difficult to judge on cross. Like, for instance, between these two carts, that's a 2017 Recon over there that I'm running my clone on. This is a 2022 Phantom Scythe, and I'm running about 63% cross on both of them. It's just where maybe it's my driving style. I prefer it right around there. I mean, I'll vary. If it's a higher grip scenario, I'll increase cross, getting off my right rear because the right rear will make it tight. But on the softer tracks that I'm typically on, the slightly lower cross does all sorts of good. How do you know which to add, cross or air? I would say that if you feel as if your roll speed down the straightaway is hampered, if you're losing to people, now that could be numerous things. That could be gearing, it could be engine performance, but typically either gearing or air is going to kind of hamper your roll speed. If the cart feels too tight, I would increase air a little bit, and then I've said it before. I do my best to try and explain this stuff, but without being at a particular track, it's hard for me to know what exactly is going on. But it's more cross, get it off the right rear. Yeah, yes. That's what I do. So you got here. We'll look at this. We'll do a little demonstration. You gotta bear with me here. So if you're sitting in the seat and you put pressure on the right front up there ahead of the engine, that is going to increase pressure to your left rear. To the opposite, if you increase pressure to left front, it's going to increase here. I believe, and you can, there's two trains of thought here. You can believe that adding cross puts pressure on your right front, therefore it drives the right front into the ground, helping it turn. Or like my brain works better with thinking about the rear of the cart, that the more pressure you put on the right front puts pressure on the left rear. It takes weight off your right rear. The best and worst I've ever felt a cart is how hard or light the right rear is digging into the track. And that, when I went to a high cross setup or a high cross cart, that's the only way I could get my brain to think about it, that the harder my right rear was biting, the tighter I actually got. So the lighter you're on it, it would free you up. Is it correct? It's just the way my brain works with that. But it's tough. It's, without knowing, without being at that track, I have a hard enough time uh, making decisions for myself, my own personal preference and what I want to do, take cross out or add cross, at the track, that it's hard for me to just say, hey, definitely do this at yours. All I can say is move it one way or the other and see what it does. And then if you give up a heat race, okay, or you didn't win that heat race. Maybe you fell back in that. Oh, maybe I went the wrong way. Go back the other way. Come back to where you were, or go a little bit further the other side. Yeah, I think balancing kart tires has more effect on higher speed tracks. It will help in general, just, I mean, minutely. The smaller the track you run, the less air you run. I think because you're squishing down on the sidewall, that bounce doesn't have as big of an effect. But the more air you're running, the higher speed you're running, bouncing tires does take an effect. I have a tire, like a rudimentary tire balancer somewhere around here. I honestly haven't balanced tires in a really long time. It might not be a bad idea to do it, but then again, coming off of its excuses are like buttholes. They all stink, and we all have one. But coming off of the open stuff, I can't feel that anyway. I can't, when you're talking about clone racing, lower horsepower racing, it probably makes a bigger amount of difference than it does in open stuff. That's just my opinion, though. Long straightaways and nicely banked turns. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, all right, there you go. I always assumed that champs ran a lot higher cross, but I would go ahead and give them a listen. But listen to people who have more experience than I do. I was guessing. I also, there's a comparison to be made for open carts and champs, because we're putting more stuff on them. We're putting more stress on the chassis. That I don't run as high of cross on my open stuff. I believe it. Lower cross to me always has opened up the tire window, that maybe you don't have that just brutal raw speed, but your tire window and your balance of the cart opens up a little bit, so you don't have to be as dead on but still fast. If that makes any sense there. But yeah, there you go, 53 to 55 cross. That's really interesting. Uh, I guess I always assume it was more. I lost that bolt. I took that bolt out to show you guys the wing thing. It's bugging me. It's been in the back of my head. What did I do with it? It's like a 10 millimeter. I didn't drop it. Oh, man, it's not that big of a deal. I will. I'm sure I have another one, but I misplaced it. Let's go ahead and tighten that back up, so I don't lose that one too. Well, shoot. Lost it. I didn't go anywhere. I've been checking my pockets. Like, I've been talking to you guys and checking my pockets, thinking that it's just going to pop up in my hoodie pouch here, but I don't know. Beats me. All right, let's see how this turned out. Like that. My sister had that made for me. Sister's a cool chick. It's absolutely hilarious. Yeah, it's absolutely hilarious. So my sister, if you were to see her, she's 6 years my younger. But she is, like a chick. She's blonde hair, blue eyed, loves makeup. She loves fashion, this and that. And it was just funny. Like, we go to the same gym. She hasn't been in a while, but I digress. She somebody came up, oh, you gotta listen to this. It was some rap song or something like that. But years of being around me, living with me, she's just like, I don't really listen to that stuff. And they're like, why? What do you listen to? And it's all just metal. She does like country. Don't get me wrong. She's, she is it's still a girly girl and everything. But when it comes to it, she likes just brutal, heavy metal. And I'm like, yeah, that's my fault. I did that. But it's just funny. If you look at her, you think, oh, she's like, she's just like a girly girl. She probably listens to Taylor Swift and this and that. And she can, I guess she can appreciate that style of music. But more so, she's more into the, the Slipknots, the Corns, the Deftones, the all the stuff that I kind of listen to. So it's just funny. I think about that occasionally. That one cannot read a book by its cover all the time because it just would not make sense. All right, here we go. This is shoop, boom. Oh yeah, that'll do. By the way, I don't have to weigh 430 pounds with that engine. I had that when I had the 300 on that as a 270. So not a big deal because by the time I put weight on the cart, I am bloody heavy. All right. It's not that you really need to see what I'm doing, but we are putting stickers on my Open because I just got the graphics today. And I love this. We are going to start to map out. Oh, that's going to be right in the way, isn't it? Got a bolt right there. I'd like it to be up here, but it's not going to work. Get down a little bit. Oh, man. For those of you who aren't aged yet, you haven't aged like some of us older people. Wait until you just bend over to like tie your shoe or bend over to pick up something, and you just hear this pop, and it's not painful, but it's your back, and it is. When it starts doing it randomly, you're just like, "What the heck was that?" And it's just normal. Sorry, didn't mean to. There's a yellow. That bolt was going to be in the way. Boy, I could be like NASCAR. You guys want me to put it like NASCAR? Let me put it up in front here. I don't think so. We're not doing that. I guess it'll have to. I would love it to be up there. We could do. It's either that or kitty corner. No, it would be brutal bad. Oh goodness. I think we're just going to do it like that. Need an engine hoist to get me out of the car. Yeah. It's sometimes yeah, when I'm getting in and out of a cart, when I'm scaling, things are not as loosey goosey and everything. When I'm racing, when I get out of the cart, it's not too bad. You would think I'd be tired, and maybe I am a little bit, but like my adrenaline's going, my blood flow is pumping, so everything kind of loosens up, and I can pop right out of the cart. But like when I'm scaling, trying to wedge yourself down in there, and sit there and do your scale thing, and then when you got to get back out, it's. But it's this type of stuff that keeps us young. Having hobbies, having passion, doing cool things like putting stickers on your go-kart on a Thursday night. Wait till you get 60. Yeah, I know. It's and I say it a lot to people because not that I make my age a real big deal. It is what it is. But I tell people who are a little bit older and they say, oh, like you just said, wait till you're 60. And it's just like, yes, I agree. That is going to be rough. But I'm at the point where you start to feel those things go sideways and you're just like, oh, what is that? Like it's a new thing. Like, it's just like age has befallen you, my friend. And, you know, stuff starts creaking and stuff. When I assume when you get a little bit older, you've had a little more experience in the creaking realm, and you're just like, yeah, my back does that. I feel like this and that. Where I'm at the point where, you know, you're waking up with a pinched nerve, and you're like, oh, that's happened. You know, an entire day walking around like this because I couldn't straighten my head up. It's just like the mind still feels sharp and young and all that, but it the body's not failing me, but it's also letting me know, hey, buddy, remember when you skateboarded, when you were a skater, when you were you know, like 10 to 18 or whatever it was that I skated, your knees, they're shot. Remember when you played basketball into your mid-20s and you got slammed down on the court and, you know, this and that? Yep, your back hurts, your shoulders hurt, your and now I go to the gym and make everything hurt on purpose. What do we got? Yeah, the next better. You know, we're just talking about, or not, I wasn't talking about it. The Four Takes and Fuel boys. They had Daniel Armstrong on this past week. I highly recommend that program if you like podcasts, if you like kart racing. Obviously, you're here talking with me or hanging out with me. You do like podcasts or kart racing. They have Daniel Armstrong on, and the man's really fast. He's been fast for a long time. You know, great stories behind that. But he has his numbers up front, and I have to say, I don't hate it. I don't think I would like it on an open kart. Maybe mid door. I've seen that happen. I think Ron O'Neill, my friend Ron O'Neill, does it mid door. Okay, you know, I can kind of deal with that. But he does it up front, and I have to say, on a flat kart, it's not terrible. It's really not that bad. I prefer it back, you know, pretty standard. I think everybody kind of gets used to that. That standard back by the rear tire thing. But yeah, the number 9 on Daniel Armstrong's kart looked pretty good. I cannot tell a lie. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I'm gonna stick. Also, like so when I requested these graphics from G-Kart Graphics, I assumed they knew my number was 63. And then when I got the printout, or you know, they emailed me the printout of what they were doing, it said Kart 6T3 on it. And I thought, this, because of the layout, you know, oh jeez, I was jerking you guys around here. Because the layout here, I can, you know, if I'm going somewhere, I just say, hey, I'm 63. If they don't accept the T, or I'm 6T3, and because the T is so small in here, I can, you know, it can go either way. I really like that option. You know, I keep the 63 if you guys saw the short that I did, because of my dad racing, and my childhood is, as he was a motocross racer, and having 60, you know, everything I had, or, you know, rode on or whatever, the number I always associated with racing was 63 growing up. So I want to keep that portion of it, but the T kind of, it's something I created. So it's a play off of that, but also, you know, the 63. So we have both. I really enjoy that. But here's the go away. But yeah, I didn't anticipating them do that. They did it. I love creative people. I prefer to tattoo artists, graphic artists. You know, let your mind develop. Let your creative influence come in. You know, I think that things can become dull and stagnant if you're always got your thumb on whatever it is. You know, just like, I want it like this. Let somebody else, you know, maybe inspire you, maybe, you know, come in and be like, hey, what about this? This is really cool. And then maybe you don't like it, but chances are you'll be like, oh, I never thought of it like that, and kind of go with it. So I really appreciated that I don't think they had intended to go a different way than what I had intended. But when I saw it, I was just like, dude, this is perfect. I love it. Absolutely love it. Like I said, I love creative people. Oh, now what do I do with the other stuff? Oh yeah, I got to put the beard of the octanes. The beard of the octanes on there, and we're gonna put it in standard fashion, like I did on my other body. Yeah, I have a Cricut, and the graphics I did for the past couple years came from the Cricut. Whatever you want to call it, Cricut. And it's not that I wasn't able to do it again, but it's seriously to weed out all the vinyl and stuff. It's a serious pain in the keister. And honestly, you know, if you have the money for it, to do a graphics kit, I think it's $30 from Kart Graphics. It was $30 for that, for the numbers. Well worth my aggravation, or lack thereof of my aggravation, to do that. All right, we have the octane that goes on there. We also are going to come over here and get the essentials. Track Tack stickers. Track Tack kind of guy. Did anybody see that post I shared? If you follow me on Facebook, Chris Harris put it on there. So there was always the Track Tack mobile. It was all, you know, it had a wrap on it, Track Tack, and the whole thing. And Chris, it says when you don't have money for a convertible, but you have a Sawzall, and they took the top off of this Track Tack mobile. That's freaking great. Love that. We're going to put the Track Tack directly below the 63, like so. I think I've done this on pretty much every card I've had in the same position. It's just makes me happy to do it there. What do you got here? There are people to argue both ways. New stuff is fast. All right. So if you go back to the, I'll go back to the podcast I was talking about, the Four Takes and Fuel guys, and they have people like, Todd Miller on there. They had Harold Wiggins at the beginning of the year, and they talk about how Todd was fast on a new cart, or a cart that they brought. And then Harold says, why don't we race this one that had 0 laps on it? And it was lots of tenths faster, apparently. And he went out and won on this brand spanking new chassis with 0 time on it. Anything that is run, whether it be bearings, a frame, an axle, can flex out. More so, the components will wear out before that stuff does. Do I believe that an axle eventually will flex out? Possibly. I don't put a ton of credence in it, only because of the aluminum hubs there. All right, between the rubber tires, the aluminum rims, the aluminum hubs that are all bolting to that, it gives a an absorption of the we'll call it trauma that is going through. Is it going to flex out? Sure. Is there, but more so, it's a possibility that you are losing speed with something that isn't as straight, that isn't as true, that isn't. Now I mean, you're talking about microscopic, like, I don't even want to say tenths. You're not giving up tenths, thousandths, maybe. I mean, I just, the wall thickness, the this and that. I don't want to say it doesn't happen, because that would. I'm not a metallurgist. I don't know for certain. What kind of, is it a chromoly? Is it a mild steel? Is it a whatever it is? Does Does constantly flexing something make it change its anatomy? Yes. Is it that big of a deal? I would say that your bearings mean more than replacing that rear axle. Now, if your bearings wearing on a certain part of the axle, that is a thing. I wouldn't say that I would be, this is just my mind working, wouldn't be overly concerned with the flex of the axle giving up before, say, a bearing starts to not rotate as well, and possibly, if something happens, it's chafing on there, it's starting to wear away the metal to metal contact and creating, a minute little gap there, but that's going to create flex where you might not want flex. If this is I'm waffling a little bit because I don't want to, I don't ever want to be that guy. Like, definitely, they definitely flex out. You definitely have to change it because I would say you're losing more speed from components than you are an actual rear axle going bad on you. But yes, it's especially in dirt tracks. And all right, so we'll another variable in there. We'll throw this variable on it. Where are they being run? Are they being run? I would say there's a bigger chance of high speed, high bite tracks of a axle flexing too much. That may cause a flex out. If you're running on softer track, obviously it's going to not be as coarse on it. It's not going to have the same G load on it that would cause that. But also, when you run on tracks up here, we have rougher tracks, so that constant bouncing, that it's. I don't want to say no, but I would just. But when people say, "Should I replace this?" Should I? If money is a problem, or is your varying is the thing that's holding you back, I would rather replace the bearings than I would the rear axle. If you can afford to do so, absolutely. I believe there's speed in everything, especially lower horsepower engines, clones and predators and all that. I believe that all the components, all the wiggle, all the little, this can cost fractions of a tenth. And now those add up, add up, add up, and next thing you know, you're down tenths per lap to somebody who may have fresher stuff. So it's tough. It's I also know so on open stuff, man, it's open. So there's that variable. There are guys that are running chassis that are well older than my stuff, and they're just as fast, if not faster than me. So it's, are their components newer? Are there, is the chassis flexed out? I would argue no. They're on older stuff than me, so their chassis isn't flexed out. But I would say that there's a reason why Phantom, we'll take Phantom for instance, offers things like rebuild kits, and it includes spindles, it includes rear axles, it includes all the bearings. These are the components that are more than likely gonna go bad, and one of those things is a rear axle. I just think that you know there's variables there. You know what I'm saying? But yes, uh, yeah, accidents are a thing. Bouncing, it's all relative. It's they're for being go-karts, like little tiny go-karts, these little 6-inch rims, they're awfully complex things. They're they got a lot to them. Was putting that on. Um, and the only reason, no offense to Burris, the only reason I'm not putting Burris stickers on my open cart, I'll be running Burris on the next track I run. I mean, I could. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I'll put Burris stickers on it. They've been good to me. I was gonna not put one on, but you know what? I changed my own mind. Um, Track I plan on running this at, I'll be running Burris at, because they are the faster tire. Now, can you run Vega yells against them? Absolutely. But I found way more speed in a Burst 33 than I did in my Vega yellows at this particular track we're going to. For the Burst haters out there. I know you're out there. I see you. I see your comments. I feel I fear your attitude. I don't dislike any tire as much. There are some people that just don't. I'm sure there's people I think they're coming around to the Reaper because it's, there's no way to avoid it down south, especially down south. Um, there's no way to avoid the amount of tracks that they've gotten on board with them. Um, but there are people who legit they just want to go to Maxxis and Maxxis only, and it's just like, hey man, hi, it's fine, dude. Opinions are great. It's perfectly fine. Um, with the open, I would argue that I've had more success with Burris tires than I have had on any other tire brand. That being said, I've won on Maxxis. I've won on Hoosiers. I've run on what were Kings before they were Maury's Kings. I don't know who was making them before that. They had soft and hard. I won on a set of those. Yeah, obviously Burris, Vega Yellows. Yeah, I've raced on pretty much all of them. Not AJC yet. And I don't think I've ever run a Dunlop. I had a set of Firestones just outsides at one point in time. I think I got them because I thought maybe there was a chance I was going to run them down south, and I never ended up running them. I don't even know what ever happened to those. I probably gave them away or something. Unillies. I had some Unillies. Yeah, being UAS, being an open tire guy for a long time, I've run everything. I've run the gambit. So I like them all. I like tires. Uh, but yeah, and I got Maxxis over there. I hope they're okay for. The only thing I don't like about Maxxis is the problem a lot of people have with Burris, that you have to run them to season them for them to be fast, and then add on top of that, I'd say with Burris, then you run into the year thing. Like, I'm sure 22s and 23s were the way to go at Weedsport. Were the way to go at Weedsport. So you have to have years of tires, kind of in your collection type of thing. To whereas Maxxis, you have to have your cycle of them that have been seasoned, that have been prepped, that have been wiped once a week at least, a couple times a week, whatever it is, to keep them conditioned, to keep them fresh. To whereas the world I come from in open racing, I've had way better luck with almost straight up burst 33s and exceptionally doused Vega yellows. That's the part of the country I'm in. I've won the most races on Burris. Second would come on my open anyway, would come with Vega yellows. I've had the most success with those two brands. I got nothing against Maxxis. I just don't have, I don't have a cycle of tires to keep up on them to know what makes them fast. I got some 2023s sitting right over there that I hope are still kind of. I got some over here too. And then once I surface them and hopefully bring them back to life, because I heard that they're going to be fast at nationals. I don't know that I have the budget to get new, to buy new Maxis and then to, scuff them in and prep them and do all that to make sure they're good. I think I know the process, or at least part of the process that would take to make them fast. But I just don't know that right now it's just not in the cards. So I'm making do with what I got. One of these years, I really hope that the UAS gets on a track where Vega yellows are the tire of choice. Not saying that I can just outright win it, but it is the tire that I am most comfortable with, aside from Burris. I've probably run them equally, with the exception of Burris just at Paradise Speedway, where I come from. They were the best tire to be on, but a bunch of other races, the Vega Yellow was, I just kind of licking my chops. I was it? Oh shoot, what was that? 15? Was that the year? Was it the year that I won my? I think maybe it was. Maybe it was 2015. There was Route 68. It was a track in Ohio. Grand Nationals are there, and it downpoured while we were there. And the Southerners were there, and everybody had their maxis and all that stuff because it's Ohio, and you pretty much run what, obviously it's open tire, run whatever, but they brought their maxis with them, and it started to rain and rain and rain and rain, and they're like, "Hey, we're getting this in," and I went right in my trailer and I got my softy gumball Vega yellows out and went out, and I went, was I top of the board for a little bit before Robbie Sarchette went out and, put me second, or, maybe a couple of people put me down to second or third. I know it was practice, but it felt good. That one little bit, like finally a track that is going to come to me. And then as it kept on running and running and running and dried out and the rain went away and that it got packed and packed and packed and it became a Maxxis track again, I'm like, so close to being, something that I was used to racing on, kind of soft, kind of mushy surface. I don't know why it makes a difference to, it's an equal type of grip on two different surfaces, if that makes sense. You can be bit up hard, Maxxis style track or Reaper style track or whatever, just hard type of track where it blacks out and you're just like, my goodness, this is a lot of grip. Or it can be soft and spongy and you're on super duper soft tires, 20s, 30s durometer, that type of scenario where it just, you get in the corner, you just feel it sit on that right rear and you're like, woo, same sensation, different style of track. And it's just, it may be a little different driving style, how long you can be in and out of the gas. Of course, we have obviously different tracks up here. We're not as flat up here. Typically, well, I would say we used to be not as flat. Well, there's a lot of flat tracks now, like super flat type of, lots of rear stagger type of tracks, but stuff with banking, stuff like AMS, something that, you could sing down in the corner and the banking would kind of catch you, but that soft track to where you run those soft tires and you feel that bite. It just kind of, and it gets you out of the corner. I love that feeling. Yeah. But for the time being, what you want to see? Okay. You talked me into it. All right. So we have the beard octane. Oh, wait. Mr. Doug. I'd be remiss to show him this DZ machine. Yeah. Custom thing, isn't it? Rad. Oh, window. Wait. Ooh, doesn't want me to tip it. Sorry. But yeah, in there, and then I came with a boop, boop, boop. Nice clean look. There's again, I got nothing against the yellow, but it was just not for me. Not yellow used to be my favorite color when I was a kid. I think my dad was a Suzuki guy for a long time, and I think that's where that came from. But my alma mater, the Dansville Mustangs, are black, white, and red, and Beard Octane's motif, black, white, and red, and it just kind of fit. Like, yeah, that'll do. Let's get this thing flipped around. We'll do the other side. I gotta put my tank in yet. I gotta get it scaled. So much to do, so little time, or so little to do, so much time. I'll Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I'm gonna have to take that out. Again, on the it can be a hard surface or a soft surface. I would argue that it doesn't stagger will mean more than what tire in particular. Because I can't decide. It could be a bit up, as we say, hard surface, black groove type of thing. It might be a burst track. It might not be, it might be a Maxxis track. If it is soft, I would argue that there are two tires. If it's real spongy soft, I would argue that a Burris SS11 or a Vega yellow are going to be your choice. Now, having said that, Maxxis now has the white tire, which I hear is more along the lines of a Vega yellow. So there's that option. So that gives you, if it's soft and spongy, if it's soaked all the time, if it's a wet type of track, if it's prepped like that, I would argue that those three tires, the Maxxis white, the Burris SS11, or a Vega yellow, are going to be your tires of choice. If it is something that takes it's harder and it starts to take a lot of black, if it's, it starts to rubber up, I would argue that a Burris 33, a Maxxis pink and blue, or a Reaper, or a Vega blue. It's kind of white. I'll show you, but it takes some digging to get to. I have some of those, but a Vega blue are the harder style tires, or an AJC. I don't know much about AJCs, so I don't ever want to not mention them because it is a tire company that is up and coming. But I just don't know. I don't know enough about them. I don't have any. So, and it's tough for my area unless I'm running the open to buy a set of AJCs just to test, because maybe for my area they're not going to be that great. And it's just tough. And when you have your finances aren't as great as you'd like them to be, it's tough to just kind of, blow money on an experiment, if you get what I'm saying. I don't want to go with this match way better on this side. How high is hold? About one palm down. Okay. One palm down, somewhere in that region. Okay. Because of the bevel of this number, it'll go up in the top of this a little better, but I want it to match the other side better. So push that on there. You got tired. Okay, hold on. Sorry, guys. How many times have you ran the new tire no prep? I've tried it a couple times. I don't love it, only because I've been conditioned to use tire prep. Vega yellows would be the only tire I have never touched, like out of the wrapper. Like maybe I surfaced them. I put them on put a scuff on them just to get rid of the mold release. I believe it's the only tire I've never put anything. Oh, no, strike that. I had 2018 Hunterstown Maxxis pink, or blues and pinks and blues. I believe I started the feature on a brand new, never touched that with the exception of surfacing. I've put them on, and I started 17th. Did I get up to 5th? Or no, I started 13th, got up to 5th at Hunterstown. Those are the only two times I've never touched a set of tires with prep before running them, because of how I was just ungodly tight all day long at Hunterstown, and I didn't want anything on them. I bumped my tire pressures up, and I didn't put anything on them because of how tight whatever I had for percentages I had in the cart, it just didn't appreciate it. And then I believe the experiment was with Vega yellows, again scuffed, and it was a track down in PA somewhere, and I didn't love it. I'm so used to the chemical assistance. You can say it's good, you can say it's bad, it's fine. Whether or not you care for that or not. But yeah, it was. Yep. Hey, Mr. Ben, I passed the cool little racetrack. Allegheny Speedway. AMS, that's the track that I run all the time. I'll be there Saturday. Running double points race. Yeah, I got SS11s, 33s, and some more 11s over there ready for that. Just wondering if you had seen the situation. Yeah, I got beat by straight up SS11s last year. It was the final race of the year at AMS at Allegheny Memorial Speedway. And mind you, I was catching him at the end, but the winner was on straight up 11s, just washed all day long. They were fresh like 3 races before that, and I believe he said he hadn't touched him with any prep. He just straight up didn't want prep on him, didn't want to to try prep on him, and I thought that was really cool. The kid ended up beating me, but I was running him down. That was me and my tire prep were coming. Just ran out of laps. He's super clean race. Outman. He was running a really good race. I take nothing away from him. Straight and just beat me. It is what it is. Okay, wondering. Okay, a lot of times the Reapers we just use tires. Yep. I heard that they like to be sanded in between. That's one thing. Definitely, if I would at least experiment with it, taking a tire surfacer and putting them on there and buzzing them off real quick to get a fresh surface before you start wiping. It's all I can say. I don't have a ton of experience with the Reapers. I understand where they're coming from, and from people talking and everything, that they like to be sanded. I would say that makes the tire. I get it. It makes the tire faster, but every time you sand them, you wear them out. So you are going to go through tires a lot quicker. Now, does that somewhat defeat the purpose of a cheaper tire if you're going through them more often, say a Maxxis or something like that? Maybe. Yep, definitely sand them. Yep. There you go. That's that. I heard it from the get go. I heard it from the horse's mouth. Terry Odom, he told me that. Hey, man, they like to be sanded in between. But again, what I just said. Does it make the tire faster? Sure. But it also the more you sand them, the more they wear out quicker. The more you go through, it's just like it's I don't think it's a thing to that sell more tires. Hey, sand them in between. I think they're legit. Like it makes them faster, but gets that fresh rubber again. Once you expose that fresh rubber, wipe, build some bite in that sucker, and send it. Okay. Oh, sweet. I was discovered. Find a lot of information on the track though. One venture there. So nice. Yeah. AMS is John Layfield is the gentleman who runs AMS. Super dude. I met him. Jeez, 15 years ago. I don't know. It was a long time ago. We went down there, and John has brought that place from pretty much nothing. It was a cereal bowl. Barely any carts showed up there weekly. It was, and now it's a really nice facility. Inside bathrooms, there's a restaurant. Their concession stand is inside, gets you out of the weather. You come in, it's definitely come up. There's paved grid when you're going up there. Cereal bowl, you get whipping around there. There's a little RV park out behind there now. It's just John has put a ton of work into that place. Really appreciate the effort. And he does a great job at sponsorship for the track. You see billboards from here to everywhere, of companies and organizations and everything that have sponsored the track. I think he does a really good job, and he truly cares about the racer and tries to put on a great race for him. Yeah, when a tire's fast, it does wear out more. That is for definite. You tell no lies. You tell no lies. Oh, I got the track of the tax stickers. We're doing well here. I was gonna run out here and do this because I was excited about decaling up my wedge, and I thought I'd wait for you guys. That one, and put the burst on there. Do I have Vegas stickers? I don't think I have Vegas stickers anymore. I used to be a severe Vega head. Like I had the one race I showed up to. Was it Turkey Trot, New York? They're running UAS, so we can run whatever tire we want. And I had, I think I had a Vegas shirt on, Vega hat, and then I was running Vegas. And then somebody had pointed out, they're like, "Are you sponsored by them?" I was like, "No, I just like them." And they're like, "Apparently." I think I had ordered a bunch of stuff from TS at the time, and they sent a bunch of stickers and stuff, and then I don't know if they sent me a shirt or whatever it was. I don't know what exactly was the situation, why I ended up with them, but I was head to toe like Vega. It was funny. Do, do, do. I don't know if I want to do a kind of do. Not, I won't say it's a trick. You notice on the front of the, if you've seen the pictures of this cart and the nose cone, that I just take brighter duct tape and put it at the bottom like a band, like the old cup cars used to do. Kind of also makes it stand out a little more. It's just the like I have the day glow yellow, and it doesn't really sit with a motif. I do have. No, I don't know. Waste those on my own stuff. But yeah, I got that done. Here's the other side. Not that, any different than the other. But yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Pardon me. I did go with the red interior. I thought that was, look at that. It's actually burgundy on top of that, the yellow that the panels once were. But there's a Bama 270 sitting right there. Oh yeah. Yep. Hopefully she fires up. I mean, technically it should be fine. I put a new piston in it last year. Upper connecting rod, piston rod, or piston rod. Anyway, the yeah, all new stuff. I put a fresh piston in it. Cylinder looked perfect. Had quite a few races on it. I was really surprised at how good condition the cylinder was. But you got to think the amount of hours that motocross racers put on these cylinders. I mean, it's a YZ 250. It's bored out, but it's a Nikasil cylinder. So the amount of hours and time they put on them, we don't put crap on them. The difference is the piston. We turn them a lot more RPM. I mean, what's a motocross racer turn is 8-9 grand, something like that. I mean, I turn mine upwards of 11. And I've heard of people pulling more RPM than that with these things, but I think that's unnecessary, just from my experience. But yeah, so on the regular 10,500 to 11,000, give or take, is the RPM range I run with this thing. Seems to perform really well there. I know people that don't turn them that hard. Their 250s that hard. I know people who pull them in excess, some kind of middle ground type of thing. My cart owner, or my past cart owner, Walt, was always big on putting more teeth to it, making it get at. Finishing the race is especially in UAS, is a goal. You expect that you're going to finish the race, but being they are open to engines and we are always pushing the limits with them, it's not always a given. It's not always hey, this is definitely you're definitely going to finish the race, because they are opens. Clutches go bad, just random stuff. Clips on carburetors come off. There's so many things, like just amplify clone racing times 100, and the excitement, the fun's there with the open stuff, but also the disappointment that comes there too. The tires where, and the decals, don't forget to hit it with the heat on. Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, yeah. Oh, especially being down south. Wingnut, yeah, you're definitely. All the tires should wear inside, I believe. Yeah, they outmail to the left. The left side of the tires always wear out. Just G forces where it pulls and bubbles the tire. That is typically the way things get ate off. Heavyweight, lower air pressure, maybe left rear would wear outside. It's possible. Somebody brought that up to me. They brought up air pressure, and I don't know what they were running, but they were running baggy yellows, and I'm like, hey man, uh, maybe it is a heavy. They weren't talking about opens. They were a heavier person, and they were saying something about air and going too low and on air and deforming the tire, which I understand where you're coming from, but also this cart right here, when I get it scaled out, will be 440 pounds. I have been 450, 460 with like a Jawa on it. And I've run 2 to 3 pounds of air running that cart. I continuously run 2 to 3 pounds of air pressure in the tires on this cart, weighing 440 pounds. So I know what their concern was, but I was like, hey, just run them low, especially Vega yellows, because the sidewalls, the thing that makes Vega yellows mount like such a pain in the butt is also what saves them from debeating when you run them right down to no pressure. But yeah, if it's think of it like a car tire, any car tire, like a road car tire. The more air, or if you ever give me a tire, hold on. I say it's past an hour, but I'm chatting. Just never mind. Okay, so on a regular car tire, think of this: the more air you run, this will round, and where the center, the less air you run, it will start to press on the sidewalls on the edges of the tire. So in theory, if you ran more air pressure, say in your left rear, if it's wearing funny, it's just going to, it's gonna wear the center before it will the edges. Now, what it's going to do to handling, you know, that may not be something very cool to find out, but that's what it's going to do. If you want to even out the wear, it's just I don't know what it's going to do to handling, bumping up your pressures like that. But like I said, it's we've been on here 67 minutes because I'm a chatty Cathy and I just keep on rambling on. If you guys keep engaging with me, but I appreciate you guys coming by. Help me sticker up my cart. I got so much more work to do. I have a list. I made a list. My wife picks on me. I never make lists. The open, I needed a list. I needed to be able to know what I got to do to get this thing ready. And then hopefully everything, I got a little bit of fuel over there by this weekend, by Sunday. I should have it fired up just to make sure. I got a race Saturday. The clone, I'm going to AMS, so expect some footage eventually from that. I probably won't do the whole double feature thing because that would be exceptionally long, and I may just do edits of how if anything exciting goes on. We'll see how that all plays out. But the clone Saturday, double features, and then the following week I'll be on the open. Hopefully I'll get this thing fired up by Sunday. Make sure everything runs. I got a new EGR sensor for it. I bought this little box, and it's no knock on JC Specialties, but I ordered from JC Specialties, and this tiny little box of go-kart stuff came to me. It was $125. I'm like, ha, race is expensive. But all right, check here real quick. Okay, I've only been around kid carts. Yeah, yep, absolutely. All right, guys, I really appreciate you coming by. Yeah, I had an idea for a video Sunday. I may abandon it. It's a good concept for a video. I like to keep this channel as positive as possible, and I want to say it could get serious. I don't want it to be that way. I don't want it to come off that way, and I'm not sure that it came from a. It's, you'll find out, I guess, what the video is Sunday because I don't want to do that. I never want to come on and ever talk badly about anything. It's a good subject. I just have to word it correctly so I'm not coming off as preachy or jerk like. And I never ever want that. I want to help the sport. I don't want to degrade it in any way. It's not that it's the do anything to win. I, it's a subject that needs to be addressed, but I'm not quite sure how to word it in video form yet. I will eventually come up with it. I will eventually do it. I'm not maybe I get the cojones and I just go ahead and do it. I don't ever want to come off preachy. I don't ever want to come off as being somebody who's upset about something, but it's a thing with me that I don't like this do whatever it takes to win mentality. It's probably because I see it everywhere in the world. I don't like it. I hate to see it happen to us. Happens in NASCAR. Happens. It's just like, man, I may leave it be. Just let it set off to the side and kind of ferment and see what happens if I come percolate some new ideas to address it. But yeah, uh, you want to. Yeah, I know. If you know, and that's just it. I want to make it lighthearted, but it's a serious subject that needs to be addressed. That I hate to see these kids come up and do that, and then turn into adults who do that, and then turn into sprint racers who do that, and then turns into NASCAR racers that just like they would have done it to me. I just hate that. I really do, and I don't ever. You should see some of my epic rants that I go on about subjects. My wife, they are all world. They're I lose my mind. Uh, and sometimes it's funny, but it's just like I don't think the YouTube world is ready for that. Not to say I'm anybody, but it's just like that could come off such the wrong way, and I don't ever want to do that. I want to remain positive. I want to keep this channel positive and highlight the good. uh that's it's just one of my things. It's easy to go negative. It's easy to complain about everything. This happened. It's just like, yeah, but you're racing, man. You're doing good things. It's a competition. You gotta love it, not grumble, grumble, grumble. I hope you see where I'm coming from. Anyway, all right. Like I said, I could go on. Yeah, yeah. Junior Johnson. Yeah, no. Yep, no doubt. But all right, guys, I appreciate you coming by. See, even that little bit, I can just start launching off. Um, Rear stagger numbers for I would go 1.5 front and rear to start. Inch and a half front and rear. Um, you know, Air pressure numbers really depends on how what the track's going to do. I'd probably start 3.4, 2.3, somewhere in that range. You don't have to run them right up there. Bowring, you need bite more than you need straightaway speed. Corner speed is king. It'll get you more straightaway speed. But all right, guys, I will keep on going if you keep letting me go. But I can't do that. My mama will get mad at me. But yeah, all right, guys, catch you later.